Photograph all four sides of the bike box. Ensure a picture of the label with the serial numbers is easy to read. Carefully open up the top of the box. Remove the small box. The small box includes your owner's manual, charger box including the charger and AC adapter cable, folding pedals, headlight, Velcro strap, and assembly toolkit. The assembly toolkit includes 16 and 18, 13 and 15, and 8 and 10 mm wrenches, a Phillips and flathead screwdriver, and 3, 4, 5, and 6 mm Allen wrenches. We also recommend using a pair of flat side cutters, a pedal wrench, a bike pump with a pressure gauge, a torque wrench, bicycle grease, and a friend. If you have a white RadMini Step-Thru, lift the wheel out of the box. Be careful not to touch the metal brake rotor and set it aside. If you have a black RadMini, the wheel will remain attached to the bike during unpacking. Rotate the handlebar stem upwards and secure the folding stem latch. Adjust the handlebar up and down to a comfortable height. Ensure the lower clamp bolts are torqued to 15 Nm, the upper stem clamp bolts are torqued to 10 Nm, and the stem faceplate bolts are torqued to 6 Nm. Check all adjustment release mechanisms are fully secured. If you have a RadMini Step-Thru, locate the quick release skewer which is holding the fork protector in place. Open the lever and remove the thumb nut and cone spring on the opposite side. Remove the quick release skewer, keeping the washer and the other cone spring in place on the lever side. If you have a black RadMini, you will find the quick release skewer zip tied to the front wheel. Unscrew the thumb nut and remove one of the cone springs. Again, make sure that the other cone spring stays in place on the skewer. Install the skewer from the brake rotor side of the wheel. Reinstall the cone spring. Both cone springs should point in towards the wheel hub. Thread the thumb nut on only a couple of turns, leaving enough room for the fork dropouts. Make sure the lever is open and then carefully begin to lower the fork. Ensure the brake rotor goes into the caliper in between the brake pads and the axle enters the fork dropouts. Ensure the fork dropouts are fully seated on the axle and the wheel is centered. Tighten the thumb nut until the quick release lever is held in line with the axle. Then, use the palm of your hand to close the quick release lever without touching the brake rotor. This should require enough resistance that the lever leaves an imprint in your palm when you close it. If installing the front wheel is difficult, use a 5 mm Allen wrench to widen the gap between the brake pads by turning the inner pad adjustment counterclockwise a few clicks. Once the wheel is installed, return the inner pad to its original position by turning the inner pad adjuster clockwise a few clicks. Before riding, have a certified, reputable bike mechanic check that the brake is properly adjusted. Prop the bike on the kickstand. Apply a small amount of bicycle grease to the threaded portion of the pedal axles. Identify the left pedal, which has grooves on the outside of the pedal axle. Carefully thread the left pedal onto the left crank, making sure to tighten by turning counterclockwise. The right pedal axle is smooth, and it tightens by turning clockwise. Use a pedal wrench to torque both pedals to 35 Nm. The RadMini's pedals are designed to fold for easy storage by pressing the pedal end directly towards the crank and then folding. Use caution to keep fingers and clothing away from the folding parts. Ensure the pedals are locked in the unfolded position before each ride. Open the quick release lever by swinging the lever open and outwards to about 180 degrees. Remove the seat post and ensure the clamp opening is centered over the slot in the seat tube. Apply a small amount of grease to the seat post and insert the seat so the minimum insertion marking is completely inside the seat tube of the frame. Tighten the adjustment nut with the lever halfway closed. When you begin to feel resistance, close the lever fully. Ensure that the seat post cannot move up or down or twist. To adjust the seat position forwards or backwards, or to change the angle, use a 6 mm Allen wrench to loosen the seat adjustment bolt. Make sure to stay within the limit markings on the rail. Torque to 20 Nm. To install the headlight, first remove the lock nut, bolt, and the two washers from the fork. Keeping the front washer on the bolt, pass the bolt through the light mount and the mounting point on the fork. On the back side of the fork, install the rear washer and then the lock nut onto the bolt end. Align the headlight and use a 5 mm Allen wrench and 10 mm box wrench to torque to 6 Nm. Use a Phillips head screwdriver to loosen the headlight. Adjust the light slightly down from horizontal so it will illuminate the ground in front of the bike and does not blind oncoming traffic. Tighten the bolt securely. Align the notches on the inside of the red 2-pin connector and the small arrows on the outside of the connector and press the two sides together without twisting to fully seat the connection. Visually inspect the tire and make sure the bead is evenly seated around the rim. Use a bike pump with a Schrader valve and a pressure gauge to inflate both tires between 18 to 22 psi depending on rider preference. Check that the central frame hinge is latched and securely locked. Always check the frame folding latch and the handlebar folding latch are locked before moving or riding the bike. Use both hands to carefully test that the battery is securely locked to the frame. Read the owner's manual fully. It contains important details related to safety and maintenance that must be understood in order to safely operate the bike. Adjust the brakes, shifter, derailleur, and properly fit the bike to the rider. See the links below for articles and other videos to help you and your local bike mechanic. Test the bike fully and have your work inspected by a certified, reputable local bike mechanic.